So, for those of you guys who were wondering about the Brit Eady lawsuit against Bravo, we are going to discuss that because I was actually wondering what was going on with that. It's like it popped up and then we didn't hear about it, and then she went live while she was on vacation, and she kind of alluded to more coming. But I was just on the like, I was kind of like, well, where is it? What's going on? Like, when are we going to see some evidence of this? And when are we going to be able to read about it in detail? And we finally have our answers. So, for those of you guys who want to know a little bit more, we've got some from some key sources as well. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell button and join the community, y'all. And I want to hear your comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what your thoughts are about this. Did you expect this? Do you think it's too much? Do you think it's too little? And I want to know all of the tea from you guys on what you think. Okay, so I'm going to bring up something for you guys. Okay, so this comes to us from the Bravo Shade Room. Now, I'm going to be reading to you from a couple of different sources. I will place all of them in the description of this video so that you guys can actually get the tea as well. If you want to just read it in your leisure, in your leisurely time. Let's get into what it says. I want to read you this headline first. A new lawsuit was filed on November 20th, 2025. Brit Eady is suing Bravo and Truly Original for violating New York State and Atlanta's SEX discrimination laws, retaliation, negligence, breach of contract, breach of fair dealing, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Brit is seeking compensation for past, present, future pain, suffering, and other hardships arising from Bravo's and Truly Original's conduct. All right. Also, punitive damages and costs of the suit, including attorney's fees. Let's get into this in the details of it all. And I'm going to review for you what the filing says. All right. So this was filed apparently with the United States District, Southern District of New York. All right. And it says the case concerned defendants' grotesque harassment of plaintiff Brittany Eady, a castmate on season 16 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. In June 2024, Eady was the victim of a castmate's brazen attempt at so-called revenge P. Specifically, the castmate published to a group of hundreds of live onlookers, including defendants' cameras, a photograph of a woman engaged in a graphic sexual act, and told the audience that the woman was Eady. Defendants being, I'm assuming, Bravo and the people, immediately knew the castmate's behavior was atrocious and wrong, and that Eady had no reason to expect anything like it. The other castmates were present, were horrified, and left the event immediately. An unsurprising reaction given that nothing similar had ever occurred on the Real Housewives before. Defendants even made the unprecedented decision to suspend the offending castmate mid-season because of it. Yet, despite initially recognizing the depravity of the castmate's sexual harassment of Eady, and in the face of Eady's repeated protestations, defendants ultimately made the disgusting decision to leverage it at Eady's great expense. They pressured Eady to discuss the incident and her sexual history on camera and in front of her own mother, no less. And when Eady pushed back and invoked her legal rights, they retaliated against her. So I guess from this, we're to glean that while it was definitely shown her talking about it afterwards and her speaking with her mother about it, that was not something that she wanted to do from based on this. Okay. So this is interesting. Let's go on before I make some assessments. All right. Rather than protect Eady from the harmful effects of her coworkers' harassment, defendants chose to amplify the event and repeatedly re-traumatized Eady with it. Over months, defendants traded on the graphically sexualized nature of the events to coerce Eady into traumatic workplace discussions of her life's most intimate moments. This was not Real Housewives as usual. It was harassment and it was retaliation. And Eady brings this case to hold defendants to account for their horrific behavior. The graphic photo at issue appeared to depict a woman performing fellatio on an unidentified man and was presented to a group of about 200 live onlookers by a fellow castmate on the show, Kenya Moore. Moore represented to the audience, and the audience believed that the woman in the photograph was Eady, but it was not. A fact that Eady did not come to learn until nearly a year later. I think the first question that I would have been asking if I was her was, I mean, and this is a real talk at question. Who who was that? Who was that thing? But who did that thing belong to? Because that way I could tell you whether or not I did it. Maybe you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the questions that would come up, in the midst of something like this. Somebody showing that and be like, oh, well, that's if you saying that that's who this had to be so and so, because she sure enough could have been calling so and so. Okay. Because she sure enough should be remembering who recorded it. I mean, just in my assessments, in my in my in my thinking. But again, I'm thinking in layman's terms, so I ain't no expert in this. But I'm just trying to think of, like, don't you know when you're being recorded? So when you know who it was, and when you know who to go after, or call up with a nasty text message or something like that. Anyway, it says that Moore and Eady were at the time embroiled in an interpersonal dispute, and the presentation of the photograph was a classic attempt at revenge P, otherwise known as non consensual intimate image sharing. Revenge P has of late garnered significant attention nationwide due to its proliferation, leading to laws around the country punishing its use, including under federal, New York, and Georgia law. In attendance at that event were nearly a dozen of defendants' camera people who had been filming for content to air on the show and that had captured Moore's presentation of the graphic photo. Defendants knew immediately that Moore's presentation of that photo was beyond the pale, hugely improper, and well beyond the show's standards, expectations, and stated harassment policies. Indeed, just a week after the event, i.e., a year before they made any decision as to whether to air the events on the show, defendants conducted an internal investigation into Moore's conduct, which led them to suspend Moore from the show. Further, Eady repeatedly informed defendants of her view that Moore's conduct was harassing and unlawful and that she intended to seek legal relief. Despite defendants' immediate appreciation of that the presentation of the graphic photo was improper and beyond the bounds of the show's standards or any workplace, however, defendants made the decision at the heart of this lawsuit. They decided to leverage Moore's attempts at revenge P at Eady's great expense. Here's what it's basically saying, from my understanding, is that even though they knew it was wrong, they decided to showcase this as a part of the show. That is the argument here, from what I'm gleaning. Specifically over Eady's persistent objection, they pressured Eady to discuss the incident and her history with the show's producers and in front of the show's cameras. They sought to gaslight Eady into thinking it was in her interest to discuss these highly personal issues. They told her it could be just like the Kardashian sex tape, meaning Eady would use this hypersexualized exposure to obtain further publicity for herself. They said in substance that she should get it all out and take control of the narrative, because the better we get this out, the better the fans will understand and have empathy for you. I guess all of this would make more sense in my mind if the photo was actually her. But because the photo was not actually her, this is messing me up. Did they know it wasn't her? I need When did she realize it wasn't her? Okay, anyway, they told her, oh, When Edie pushed back and said she wanted no part of this, defendants effectively said if she did not discuss the incident on camera, she would face less and potentially no camera time and may lose out on pay. At first, Edie relented to this enormous pressure and ultimately discussed her most intimate personal moments with defendants' producers in front of the cameras. Defendants thereafter chose to air many of these discussions to the world, again, despite their recognition that Moore's conduct was beyond the show's standards, expectations, and policies. All the while, defendants continually rejected Edie's efforts to investigate the incident herself, even refusing to allow her to see the photograph that Moore presented, which would have revealed to Edie that the photograph was not even her and or that it was a deep fake. Okay. So now I'm not understanding why they wouldn't have just showed it to her. I mean, I think that would have solved a lot of things, right? If they had just showed it to her. Then defendants twisted the knife in another grotesque display of harassment and retaliation. They told Edie that they were planning to invite Kenya Moore back to the show for the following season. And that if Edie herself wanted to be on the show next season, it would mean that she would have to do so alongside Moore, her harasser. Enough was enough. Shortly thereafter, Edie announced that she would not be returning to the show. No one would dispute that the Real House franchise trades on drama and often highly interpersonal drama, but it has never traded on this type of graphic drama before for obvious reasons. It's disgusting, beyond the pale, and illegal. No one signing up to appear on the Real Housewives would expect it, and Edie certainly did not. Defendants have no immunity from harassment and anti-retaliation prohibitions, and their conduct unquestionably fits within them. Edie brings this action under those laws and the law prohibiting intentional infliction of emotional distress, breach of contract, and negligence to hold the defendants accountable for their unlawful and unjustifiable actions. So it is true, it seems, though, from what this is stating, that they were going to invite Kenya Moore back. Kenya Moore was set to appear on season 17. Brit Eady would have appeared on season 17. I mean, that would have meant no K. Michelle likely and no Pinky Cole. But I mean, listen, would you guys have wanted Kenya and Brit to appear to resolve this? Do you think that Bravo should have just shown her the photos in question and said, hey, is this you? I mean, at a certain point in time, it seems like that would make the most sense, right? You were outside, girl. Is this you or not? Let us know all this because, I mean, did she take a shot and miss, or did she hit you where it hurts? You need to see this, okay? Because it looks like you, but I mean, and honestly, then anybody in the room that saw it, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people might have just turned their heads immediately. So it may not have been a situation where people in the room were just like, "Oh, let me take a magnifying glass to this photo and see, does that look like her lips?" I mean, I'm just trying to ask the questions about what would have made the most sense at the time. Regardless, this is all a mess. Um, let me know what y'all think. What do you think should happen? Should have happened? Um, I'm at a loss because I don't know. This is It's all rather unfortunate. Listen, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell button. And of course, I will catch you in the next video.